Much of the journey towards sustainability involves learning how to replenish nature. By recycling our organic waste in our own backyards, we're reclaiming nutrients, increasing microbes, and saving valuable landfill space. Compost, when finished, is pH neutral, full of nutrients, some already available, others still being broken down. This makes compost a great slow-release fertilizer that will not burn your plants. It will also help to aerate the soil, improve natural moisture retention, and save you money on water costs. Sprinkle it on the lawn as a top dressing. Put it around plants in pots. Sprinkle on the ground under fruit trees where feeder roots are. Feed it to your worm farm for further processing or into the worm tower. You can put it on your veggie patch, mulch over it, and allow it to be worked into the soil. No need to dig.
Compost doesn't just have to be used as your solid material, you can also turn it into a great liquid fertiliser by brewing yourself some compost tea. Get your beautiful compost, pop it into a little pillow slip that we've got here, a nice cotton one. Don't use synthetic fibres if you can help it. So it's nice and porous. Then all you've got to do, pop it into a bucket of water and let it soak for at least a couple of days. Some people leave it for a week and you'll have a beautiful liquid fertiliser for your garden.
Or if you really want to make a great brew, place a couple of handfuls of compost in a stocking, tie it to a ruler or stick, and dangle it into a bucket of water. Remember to stand water to get rid of the chlorine first. Add a fish tank bubbler and aerate the water. Add some food for the microbes, molasses or brown sugar, and leave it bubbling for a week. The final product will be full of nutrients and beneficial microbes.
So now you can take that beautiful brew that you've made in your bucket with your compost tea. To get really good coverage though, water it down, about a 1:4 ratio. Just make it look like a nice weak tea, and that's perfect for then spraying on your foliage. It doesn't matter if it gets on the fruit, this is a natural fertiliser. This will help with pests and disease as well as your plant's health. Spray it around the roots and your plant will draw up the nutrients. And you've just made yourself a super free fertiliser from your organic waste. Once you've harvested your castings, you've got beautiful pH neutral fertiliser, full of nutrients, full of microbes. Now this is a little bit finer than compost. It's been processed further, so it's perfect for seedlings and younger plants. So once you've potted them up, using your bit of potting mix or whatever, then use your worm castings around your seedlings. Just don't forget, whether you're out in the garden or doing it in a little tub like this, after you've added your castings, always mulch. It keeps in that moisture and holds in the nutrients that those castings have so that the plants get them and they don't get lost. So basically you can use castings for everything that you use compost for, including your compost tea. Brew it up exactly the same as compost tea, but this time you're going to make worm tea. So get your beautiful castings, place them in a stocking, dangling them in a bucket of water. Remember, adding that molasses or brown sugar and a bit of aeration will feed the microbes, which means they'll multiply. So you'll end up with a liquid full of nutrients and heaps of microbes. Brilliant for your young plants. So you can water it straight on, or if you want to get more coverage, dilute it down just that little bit, about a 1:10 ratio, and you'll get coverage over more of your garden with that beautiful worm tea. Now don't forget, use worm tea fresh. If you try and store it in a sealed container, those little microbes that you've created are going to burn up all that oxygen in there, and it's going to end up going anaerobic on you, which means those microbes will die and they can't even produce a toxin that's no good for your plants. The easiest way to tell if your leachate is okay to use or your tea is okay to use, your nose. Give it a good smell. If it smells okay to you, then it's okay for the plants. If it smells off, don't use it, get rid of it. So make sure you use it up fresh and it'll be perfect every time.
Burying Bokashi fermented food waste in the garden will supply the plants with a nutritious food source and condition your soil with enriching microbes. Remember, your fermented food waste will be acidic when first added to your garden, compost or worm farm. So ensure you neutralise this in your worm farm to allow 2 to 3 weeks for it to further break down and become pH neutral before planting or using the humus. You can use your fermented food waste in planter boxes, tubs or pots by placing it directly into the container for further fermentation. Fill 1/3 of the container with potting mix, then add the fermented food waste and mix with soil. Fill the remaining 1/3 of the container with potting mix and cover with a plastic bag to maintain anaerobic conditions. Wait 2 weeks before planting your veggies or flowers, or transfer the potting mix into smaller pots for planting. Liquid from the Bokashi should always be used fresh. Use it to fertilise an existing garden or pot plants by diluting 1 teaspoon to 2 to 3 litres of water and applying directly to the soil. You can also pour the liquid directly into your kitchen and bathroom drains, toilets or septic systems. The effective microorganisms will help to prevent algae buildup and control odour.